When I went to medical school, it was unusual to have somebody who was 50-year-old being diagnosed with colon cancer. And now we're actually seeing people in their 30s and even in their 20s. And even some teenagers have been reported being diagnosed with colon cancer. So what is going on? Who are the people at highest risk? Is it a toxin we're exposed to? Is it water? Is it microplastics? Is it something in our food? Is it something we're eating? Is it something we're not eating? Vaping is actually in some ways a lot nastier in terms of the chemicals that are involved than cigarettes and tobacco. And by the way, also lower the risk of developing certain forms of cancer, including colorectal cancer as well.
If you're over 65, 4 common cheeses can quietly raise health risks that older adults fear most: treatment delays, infections, and even higher odds of certain cancers over time. In the next 10 seconds, one of them will be named smoked cheese. It can carry PHs, chemicals linked to cancer. In this video, you'll learn the 4 worst cheeses to avoid and the 4 safer swaps that support the body's defenses. And if you stay to the end, we'll unlock a senior-friendly shopping list, storage tips, and easy doctor-approved snack ideas. Smoked cheeses like smoked Gouda or smoked cheddar can contain polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, PAHs, from the smoking process, compounds evaluated as genotoxic and carcinogenic in food safety reviews. Many older adults love cheese for protein, calcium, and flavor. That's good. But certain cheese types, or the way they're made or stored, can add unneeded sodium, problematic smoke byproducts, risky additives, or dangerous germs that hit people over 65 the hardest. For people in cancer care or working to lower risk, the wrong choice can mean more inflammation, gut imbalance, hospital stays, or missed treatments. That's the fear nobody wants. Dr. William Lee is a physician-scientist known for research on angiogenesis, how blood vessels grow. His message is simple: food choices can help create a body environment that's less friendly to cancer. Within the next few minutes, you'll gain a clear roadmap, 4 cheeses to avoid, and 4 evidence-based replacements to choose instead. For each worst, you'll see a concise risk profile: what's happening on a biochemical or microbiological level, the groups most vulnerable, and the practical step to take immediately. Every risk is directly followed by a safe alternative, complete with portion guidance, label reading strategies, preparation techniques, and meal ideas that make the transition seamless and sustainable. Worst cheese number 4, smoked cheeses, e.g., smoked Gouda, smoked cheddar. Smoked cheeses like Gouda and cheddar are loved for their rich flavor, but the traditional smoking process comes with a hidden concern. When cheese is exposed to wood smoke, it can absorb substances called polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, or PAHs. Some PAHs are known to damage DNA and are considered possible cancer-causing agents. A study published in the journal Molecules examined smoked cheeses in Poland and found that all smoked samples contained PAHs, including the compound benzoapyrene. The amounts were relatively low and stayed below European Union safety limits, but they were consistently higher than in cheeses that had not been smoked. For most healthy adults, enjoying smoked cheese once in a while is unlikely to cause harm. But for older adults or people going through cancer treatment, times when the body is especially vulnerable to DNA damage, cutting back makes sense. The relief is that you don't have to give up smoky flavor altogether. Some cheeses use spices like smoked paprika or add natural smoke flavor during processing, which gives the same taste without exposing the cheese to direct smoke. This way, you can enjoy the richness of smoky notes while avoiding unnecessary chemical exposure. Safe swap, number 4, smoky style. Fresh mozzarella or ricotta. No smoke needed.
Consider to support health and longevity. Now, and that is cheese. All right. Now, I'm going to tell you why, and there's some big caveats that I'm going to tell you with it. So I'm not trying to be provocative or controversial. I'm just telling you where the evidence actually is, and then giving you some practical tips on how to be cautious about this. All right. What you want to do is to take a look at the kind of cheese and why would it might be good for you. First, cheese is a milk product that is fermented, right? That's how cheese is actually made. The cheese in the cave, it's got bacteria growing on it, healthy bacteria that actually help the cheese ripen, mature, and ripen. And some cheeses have bacteria that we know are absolutely healthy for you. So there's a good healthy bacteria called Lactobacillus reuteri, L. reuteri, normally found in the gut, in a healthy gut. But it's also used in foods. For example, it's used in sourdough bread. Lactobacillus actually creates lactic acid, all right? And that lactic acid, which is the same thing in yogurt, actually is what gives sourdough bread its tanginess, the stuff people really like about it. But when it comes to cheese, it turns out that Lactobacillus reuteri is the starter bacteria used to make Parmigiano Reggiano cheese. That's the original Parmesan cheese from Italy. Now, I'm not talking about the manufactured stuff that's pre-grated for you, but if you went to a cheese shop, like a real cheese shop, and you look for Parmigiano Reggiano, the real stuff imported from Italy, it's pretty expensive, all right? And it comes in these big orange wheels. I mean, like I'm talking about wheels that look as big as a truck, an 18-wheeler truck wheel, all right? They lay them on their side, and it's when it's cut open into pieces and packaged, it is slightly crumbly. It's got a little graininess. It's got a kind of really wonderful umami saltiness to it. I'm sure you probably have had the opportunity to taste Parmesan cheese, but if you haven't tasted the real Parmigiano Reggiano, that's what I would actually suggest, because it actually also contains Lactobacillus reuteri. Now, why is Lactobacillus reuteri good? Well, I actually studied Lactobacillus reuteri in the lab with a colleague at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology some years ago, and we've actually found that L. reuteri actually helps your body heal, right? We did a wound healing model where there was punch biopsies, and then we fed Lactobacillus reuteri in the drinking water to these animals. They were just up there drinking their water with the bacteria. We're giving them probiotics, frankly. And guess what? The animals who were drinking the water that had Lactobacillus reuteri healed a lot faster than the animals who were drinking from water bottles that had no probiotic in it. So L. reuteri, healthy gut bacteria, probiotic, found in Parmigiano Reggiano cheese, actually helps healing. Now, here's where my caution to you actually comes in. It's not healthy to actually eat lots and lots of Parmigiano Reggiano cheese, or any cheese, frankly. It's very salty, does have saturated fats, all right? So you get a huge salt load as well as a saturated fat load along with it. But think about it. You can grate the cheese, you can nibble on the cheese a little bit. The cheese plate, for example, this is not something you sit there and snarf down. But Parmigiano Reggiano is one of those cheeses. It's a probiotic cheese. Here's another one. Camembert cheese is a French cheese. It's a soft cheese. You know, you can spread it on a cracker, for example. It's got beneficial bacteria, good for your gut, like Lactobacillus casei and bifidobacteria. You don't need to memorize the names of these bacteria. Just know that researchers like me, who study food as medicine and study gut health, we've actually been able to identify the specific types of bacteria, and we can pronounce them usually, that are found in these various foods. So Camembert cheese has been found to actually improve gut health by introducing some of its bacteria as well. Now, remember I told you, when you actually feed the gut bacteria, your microbiome well, support it with other bacteria, one of the things is a healthy gut bacteria produces a metabolite. So this is the metabolite of the bacteria. One of them is the whole group of metabolites are called short chain fatty acids, or SCAFAs, SCFAs, SCAFAs. And SCAFAs get released in the body. You know what they do? They lower inflammation. So good gut health lowers inflammation, and by lowering inflammation, you're actually lowering the risk of chronic diseases. And if you want to live long and prosper, you got to actually try to dodge all those chronic diseases. You know which ones I'm talking about. Cancer, heart disease, diabetes. Those are some of the chronic diseases that are associated with inflammation. Dementia, another one, right? So that's why a healthy gut bacteria is actually good. A little bit of Parmigiano Reggiano never hurts, always helps, and certainly helps the food taste better, and may have some benefits as well if you have it in moderation.
Fresh mozzarella and ricotta stand out as lighter, cleaner cheeses compared to smoked varieties. Both are naturally lower in sodium and saturated fat than aged cheeses, and they're made from just a few simple ingredients: milk, cultures, and salt. Ricotta in particular provides a boost of whey protein, which digests easily and supports muscle health, while mozzarella is a solid source of calcium for bones. These qualities make them versatile choices that fit well into a balanced diet, especially when compared with heavily processed or smoked cheeses that may carry added risks. To recreate that smoky flavor safely, you don't need an actual smoker. Dust fresh mozzarella or ricotta with smoked paprika and a pinch of roasted red pepper flakes, then finish with lemon juice and extra virgin olive oil. This trick delivers the same aroma compounds that register as smoky on the palate, without depositing harmful pHs from real smoke. For extra protection, pair the cheese with ripe tomatoes. Tomatoes are rich in lycopene, a plant compound that has been studied for its ability to slow down angiogenesis, the process by which new blood vessels form to feed tumors. A study in the British Journal of Nutrition found that lycopene at dietary levels inhibited angiogenesis in both human blood vessel cells and rat aortic rings. For portions, enjoying about 1 ounce of mozzarella, 2 thumb-sized pieces, or half a cup of ricotta, up to 3 to 5 times a week, works for most people, fitting within normal sodium and calorie needs. And plating couldn't be easier. Slice mozzarella, layer with tomato, drizzle with olive oil, sprinkle smoked paprika, and add fresh basil. In just 5 minutes, you have a dish that satisfies the craving for smoky flavor, supports protective nutrition, and feels simple enough to repeat any night of the week. Worst cheese. Number 3. Ultra-processed. Cheese slices and spreads.
There's one other caution I want to give you about cheese. Avoid these ultra-processed cheese products like spray can cheese. You know what I'm talking about, like the kind of cheese that when you were a kid you might have gotten and pressed out the nozzle at the top, and you could put it onto a cracker, right? That's not good, and the reason is that those types of cheeses usually contain corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup, artificial colors, because even though it actually could be real cheese, it's an ultra-processed product of the cheese, and they add things to it. Those additives, artificial colors, emulsifiers, we talked about emulsifiers in yogurt. Again, in some of these spray can cheese products, avoid those. Not good for your gut microbiome.
Think of those individually wrapped American singles, spray can cheeses, or shelf-stable spreads. They're not just cheese. They're industrial formulations built to melt and stretch the same way every time. To make that happen, manufacturers add emulsifying salts like sodium citrate and phosphates, which bind water and fat together into a uniform texture. Because of this heavy modification, these products fall into what nutrition scientists call the NOVA Group 4 category, ultra-processed foods. A review in the Public Health Nutrition Journal explains that ultra-processed foods consistently show links with worse health outcomes in population studies. While the exact role of additives like emulsifiers is still under investigation, relying on these products regularly means more exposure to ingredients not found in natural cheeses. On top of additives, processed cheese slices and spreads can be surprisingly high in sodium, often packing 300 to 400 milligrams in a single 1-ounce slice. That's nearly 20% of the recommended daily limit in just one serving, and it can add up quickly when paired with bread, crackers, or deli meats. The takeaway is simple. Eating ultra-processed cheese every now and then isn't likely to harm you, but making it a daily habit stacks unnecessary additives and sodium into your diet. The safer swap is to thin slice a piece of real cheese with a short ingredient list, like milk, cultures, and salt, so you get flavor and nutrition without the extra industrial baggage. Safe swap. 3. Thin sliced real Swiss or part skim mozzarella. Fresh Swiss cheese, like Emmental, or part skim mozzarella, offer smarter, cleaner choices than ultra-processed cheese slices. Swiss cheese stands out because it's naturally low in sodium, often just 50-100 mg per ounce, yet still delivers calcium and protein without excess salt or industrial additives. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, Swiss cheese, at around 54 mg sodium and 252 mg calcium per ounce, is one of the best cheese options for heart health and maintaining healthy blood pressure levels. to enjoy it fully, shave these cheeses paper thin using a handheld slicer. Just 1 Oz, about 2 to 3 delicate slices, is plenty for rich taste with minimal sodium. Pair your cheese with green tea and berries. Green tea contains EGCG, a compound studied for its ability to slow angiogenesis, the growth of blood vessels that tumors need to thrive. When you're shopping, always check the ingredient list. If you see emulsifying salts like sodium citrate or phosphates, that's a sign it's processed, not true Swiss or mozzarella. In that case, it's best to put it back and go for the minimally processed block instead. Worst cheese number 2. Very high sodium brined cheeses. Brined cheeses like feta, halloumi, and other varieties stored in strong brine can carry a very high sodium load. For example, feta often contains around 100 to 200 milligrams of sodium per 100 grams, about 320 to 360 milligrams per ounce, depending on the brand and how salty the brine is. This adds up quickly and can easily push daily sodium intake over recommended limits. Too much sodium isn't only a concern for blood pressure, it also ties into cancer risk. A meta-analysis published in Nutrients found that people with higher dietary salt intake had a significantly greater risk of gastric cancer compared to those with lower intake. This supports long-standing evidence that salty foods can damage the stomach lining and create conditions where cancer is more likely to develop. At the same time, dairy overall shows a more nuanced picture. While brined cheeses can contribute to excess sodium, studies suggest that higher dairy intake in general may help protect against colorectal cancer, likely due to calcium. On the other hand, the evidence for prostate cancer risk with high dairy or calcium intake remains mixed. This means the problem isn't dairy itself, but the heavy sodium load in certain cheeses. The takeaway is clear. Brined cheeses bring hidden salt risks that can build up over time. Choosing fresh, lower sodium cheeses and being mindful of portion sizes offers a simple way to enjoy cheese without stacking unnecessary sodium into your diet. Safe swap number 2. Part skim ricotta or low-sodium cottage cheese, pasteurized.
So this is actually yet another benefit of actually eating it. Again, not by eating huge chunks of cheese. It's really by eating slices, a couple of slices, like they do in Europe. Sometimes there's a couple of slices of cheese you could actually have for breakfast, not eating huge chunks of it. This is not a pizza with extra cheese put on it, all right? Okay, so I talked to you about different kinds of cheeses. We talked about Parmigiano Reggiano, we talked about Camembert, we talked about hard cheeses like Emmentaler, Jarlsberg, Gouda, or Gouda cheese. But what's the evidence? What's the evidence that eating cheese is not bad, right? So let's start with that, because most people would assume that eating cheese is not good for your health. What's the evidence that eating cheese is not bad and maybe even good? Well, there is a really, really great review article written in 2023 in the journal Advances in Nutrition. What they did is they looked at 39 clinical research studies looking at cheese, and they found that eating cheese was associated with some statistical benefits, all right? It was associated with a 7% decrease in mortality from cardiovascular disease, decrease in mortality. Eating cheese was also associated with an 8% reduction in developing coronary artery disease, all right? Cardiovascular disease, coronary artery disease. These are things that can prevent you from actually enjoying longevity, all right? So here is a dairy product, cheese, that have been shown to actually lower the risk. The amounts of risk that's lowered, not huge, all right? And that's why you gotta be cautious about how much cheese you eat. You get a little bang for your buck, but you don't want to actually get a lot of the harm out of by overeating cheese as well. Now, studies have also shown that eating cheese has been associated with a 7% reduction in the risk of stroke, right? Heart attack, stroke, these are major causes of morbidity and mortality in elderly people. So you want longevity, you want to be able to, every little bit of edge you can get to lower your risk for that is very important. Also, eating cheese really associated with a 7% decrease in the risk of developing type 2 diabetes, an 11% decrease in the risk of developing estrogen receptor negative breast cancer. Now we're beginning to talk about some serious conditions, right? And eating cheese is associated with a 19% reduction in the risk of developing dementia. Brain health, this is like the whole new frontier. Who would have thunk that actually eating cheese can actually be beneficial against these types of conditions, everything from diabetes to breast cancer to dementia. And that's where the evidence actually is. Now, you might be saying at this point, wait a minute, there's something that doesn't smell right here. Like, I know eating cheese isn't great for you. Nobody should be going out to eat cheese. You are right that nobody should be going out to eat a lot of cheese. All these kind of evidence I'm telling you is really just, I'm stating the facts. This is what the science says. It might be surprising to you, but it is what it is. And there's a reason for it. And gut health is one of those reasons. But whatever it is, you want to get some benefit from cheese, don't eat too much of it. That is the absolute key to this. Too much cheese gives you too much saturated fat, too big a salt load, and that increases your risk for high blood pressure. And then when you have high blood pressure, guess what? That's the silent killer. That actually takes away any benefit you might get, because high blood pressure is a risk factor for stroke. And the way that happens is that when you got high blood pressure, your heart's going to have to pump extra hard against that super pressure that's pushing back against it. When your heart pumps hard, it's got to jet the blood out. When blood is jet out through your blood vessels, there is something called a shear force, right? This is kind of like the, when an airplane flies by, right? This is shear force. When blood has to be shot by like that through your blood vessels, the shear forces can actually damage the lining of the blood vessels.
Fresh, mild cheeses like part-skim ricotta or low-sodium cottage cheese are smarter alternatives to heavily salted brined varieties. Ricotta typically has much less sodium than cheeses like feta, making it a gentler, heart-friendly option. The registered dietitians at Real Simple, a trusted publication featuring expert guidance, highlight ricotta and no-sodium added cottage cheese as some of the healthiest cheese picks, thanks to their lower sodium content, good protein, and calcium. Using just half a cup of either cheese makes for a satisfying snack or side without overloading on salt. To bring out vibrant flavors naturally, mix in a little lemon zest, fresh herbs like oregano, thyme, or dill, a dash of black pepper, and a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil. Want to add a health-smart lift? Top with antioxidant-rich berries or pair with tomato and basil, or spoon it into roasted peppers. Delicious, nutrient-packed, and cancer-conscious. When shopping, remember to look for no salt added or low-sodium labels on cottage cheese, and always compare sodium per serving, choosing the lowest. This simple swap preserves creamy, satisfying cheese flavor while supporting long-term well-being. Worst cheese. 1. Unpasteurized soft cheeses and unheated queso fresco-style cheeses. Unpasteurized soft cheeses, such as certain raw milk bries or queso fresco-style cheeses, pose a serious risk for older adults and anyone with weakened immunity, including people in cancer treatment. The concern is Listeria, a bacterium that can survive and grow in soft cheeses. Infections with Listeria are especially dangerous for seniors and immunocompromised individuals, often leading to hospitalizations and even halting cancer therapies until the infection clears. According to the CDC, outbreaks have been traced not only to raw milk cheeses, but also to some Latin-style fresh cheeses made from pasteurized milk when contamination occurred after pasteurization. The plain truth is simple. If a cheese is soft and made from raw milk, or if it is a fresh queso fresco type cheese that hasn't been heated, it can carry Listeria. For people over 65 or those in treatment, that's a risk too big to ignore. The good news is that safety is straightforward. Choosing pasteurized cheeses and heating fresh cheeses to at least 165 degrees Celsius when needed makes them safe to enjoy, while protecting vulnerable individuals from an infection that can derail health and recovery. Safe swap, number 1, pasteurized, hard cheeses, or heat soft cheeses.
A dairy product that's probably going to surprise you even more, and that is hard cheeses. What am I talking about with hard cheeses? They tend to come from Northern Europe. You're talking about Jarlsberg, Emmentaler, Gouda, or Gouda, that's how they pronounce it in the Netherlands. Cheeses. These are hard cheeses, and research has actually shown that modest consumption of hard cheeses can lower the risk of both heart disease and some forms of cancer as well. Now, this is an association. These are epidemiological studies. And the question is, can that happen? How is that possible? Cheeses have saturated fat. Don't they cause more inflammation? etc., etc. Well, here is where I told you have to look at the data. If the data suggests there's something beneficial, don't just reject it out of hand. All right, think about it. And this is where researchers like me have actually dug down deep to try to figure out a possible explanation for this. So here's the deal with hard cheeses. Some hard cheeses, like Jarlsberg, Gouda, Emmentaler, all right, they're very high in a special type of vitamin called vitamin K2. All right, vitamin K2 is a special vitamin that is anti-angiogenic, cuts off the blood supply to tumors. All right, this vitamin, which is found in hard cheeses, is beneficial. Another name for it is menaquinone. Now, I'm not recommending that you eat cheese to battle cancer, nor am I actually telling you cheese is a health food. But I want to actually show you how this dairy product, cheese, does have some evidence that it can be beneficial and is associated with lowering the risk of both heart disease and cancer when you eat it in moderation. All right. Now, the reason I'm telling you this is because, look, many of us love cheese. Me too. All right. And so rather than feel completely guilty, and you should know that the research is showing that there's some benefits. The key, absolutely key to eating cheese is moderation. All right. So if you want to actually eat cheese and get the benefits of cheese, which, by the way, cheese is also a probiotic food. It's basically a fermented dairy product. It's actually good for your gut bacteria as well. But the vitamin K2 of hard cheeses is beneficial. All right. And net, it actually contributes when you eat cheese and hard cheeses in moderation. It contributes to what's inside your body that can actually help to lower the risk of cancer by fighting cancer. All right. Now, what about vitamin K2 and body fat? Right. Well, this has been studied by researchers in the Netherlands at Maastricht University. All right. Now, what they did, these researchers, they enrolled 214 women who were post-menopausal. These women were between the ages of 55 and 65. And what they did, the researchers gave them vitamin K2, the same type of K2 that's found in hard cheeses. They gave them vitamin K2 to eat every day for 3 years. All right. And they compared this vitamin K2 eater group to women who were just given a placebo. Now, the results after 3 years were really surprising. The women who ate vitamin K2 had a reduction in their body weight, so they lost weight. They also lost body fat. And the kind of body fat they lost was visceral fat, the harmful excess visceral fat that's found in the tube of your body that wraps itself around your organs and then leaks inflammation. They actually lost that as well. And what they also found in the blood of the vitamin K2 eaters is they found higher levels than the placebo of a hormone called adiponectin. Adiponectin is made by fat cells, healthy fat cells. And what adiponectin does is it actually helps insulin in our body, the hormone that actually helps to draw blood sugar into our cells and to store it for energy. Adiponectin helps insulin actually work more efficiently. And when the adiponectin levels are high, insulin's more efficient, blood glucose comes down, the glucose levels in your blood come down faster, more efficiently, and overall, you're metabolically healthier. All right. And eating vitamin K2 can increase adiponectin levels in the bloodstream. So let's just sum up here. Cheeses, hard cheeses that contain vitamin 2, like Jarlsberg, Gouda, Gouda, and Emmentaler cheeses. These are Northern European cheeses. They can benefit your metabolism, and they can tip the odds in your favor against cancer through vitamin K2. All right. Remember, vitamin K2 can cut off the blood supply to cancer, anti-angiogenic vitamin. Now, I love cheese, but the key thing is to eat it in moderation. All right. Just be very, very careful because it does contain saturated fat. It does contain a lot of salt. And those are some of these other factors that are not so good for us. All right. So eating cheese in moderation actually has some benefits that you should know about.
Safe cheese choices do exist, even for people at higher risk. Hard cheeses such as cheddar, Swiss, or Emmental, and Parmesan, when made from pasteurized milk, are considered safer options. Soft cheeses like mozzarella or cottage cheese can also be enjoyed, as long as they are pasteurized and stored properly. These types of cheeses are generally safe for older adults and immunocompromised people, provided that labels are checked for pasteurization and storage temperatures are kept at 40 degree, 4 degree, or below. If a soft cheese is desired but there is concern about safety, heating it as part of a recipe until it reaches 165 degrees, or until steaming hot, effectively kills listeria. This makes dishes like baked pasta or casseroles a safe way to enjoy cheeses that would otherwise carry higher risk. Building simple kitchen habits, like always checking for the word pasteurized on labels, using clean utensils, and discarding any cheese that shows spoilage, adds an extra layer of protection. A practical serving size is about 1 ounce of hard cheese, or half a cup of cottage cheese. These amounts keep portions balanced, while allowing cheese to remain part of an everyday diet, even for people who need to be more cautious. Eating cheese wisely requires a handful of simple rules. Again, always check labels for the word pasteurized. If it's a soft cheese and not pasteurized, leave it on the shelf. If it is pasteurized but you're in a high-risk group, heat it until it steams at 165 degrees for hours to reduce the chance of listeria. Pay attention to sodium, aiming for under 200 milligrams per ounce whenever possible, and compare across brands to find the best choice. Keep ingredient lists short and clean. Milk, cultures, salt, and enzymes are all that's needed. Skip processed cheese products packed with emulsifying salts and additives, since these fall under the ultra-processed category that research increasingly links to health concerns. Pair cheese with foods that bring their own anti-angiogenic compounds, such as tomatoes, berries, green tea, turmeric, or leafy greens, to amplify the body's natural defenses. Finally, store cheese cold at 40 degrees or below. Use clean utensils, and discard any product that looks or smells off. Imagine a week where cheese becomes both enjoyable and protective. On the first day, lunch is built around a simple tomato mozzarella plate. A fresh slice of pasteurized mozzarella, paired with a cup of ripe tomatoes, a sprinkle of basil, smoked paprika for flavor, and a drizzle of olive oil, turns into more than a meal. It's a plate that delivers lycopene, healthy fats, and a touch of anti-angiogenic support, especially when enjoyed with a mug of green tea. The next day, the focus shifts to a snack that feels indulgent yet smart. Half a cup of low-sodium cottage cheese mixed with fresh blueberries and brightened with a little lemon zest. It's creamy, refreshing, and far less salty than traditional brined cheeses. On the third day, cheese takes the stage at dinner. A thin slice of Swiss melts gently over steamed broccoli, with turmeric and black pepper stirred in. This pairing not only controls portions but also draws on Swiss cheese's natural vitamin K2, while amplifying curcumin's protective compounds. Breakfast on day 4 is light and nourishing. Whole grain toast topped with half a cup of part-skim ricotta, sliced strawberries, and just a drizzle of honey if permitted. This option is softer, lower in sodium than feta, and friendly to tender digestion. By day 5, cheese returns at lunch inside crisp pepper boats, bell peppers filled with cottage cheese, cucumber, dill, and lemon juice. It's crunchy, cooling, and assembled in minutes without frying or heavy cooking. Day 6 shows how cheese can remain simple. An apple paired with a single slice of Swiss makes for a quick portion snack that balances sweetness with savory, while keeping sodium lower than many other cheese options. Finally, dinner on day 7 offers a warming, comforting finish. A small wheel of pasteurized brie or camembert is baked until it steams, then topped with rosemary. Heating to 165 degrees ensures safety for older adults, while the soft, melted cheese offers both comfort and richness. Across the week, the theme remains consistent. Portion sizes stay modest, flavors are paired with protective foods like tomatoes, turmeric, berries, and greens, and safety is built into every choice. The plan doesn't strip away the enjoyment of cheese, it reshapes it into a pattern that nourishes and protects, aligned with a food as medicine mindset. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and share this video with someone over 65 who loves cheese.